Vanya?
We gotta go. Oh, we're live. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. Welcome, everyone.
It
This is what
ended, I couldn't do
happens.
it.
This is what happens when Shannon
Lord.
isn't here.
Send it
The
to
boys get into trouble.
Be real. We do this even when
We
Shannon's
do,
here.
yeah. you guys definitely do.
So true.
But it's great. All right, folks.
We have fun.
We have fun. We have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into our recap for tonight.
Don't tell them what we do.
And I guess I will. Okay. Last we left off, the Wayward Five defeated and captured the trickster god Ashk. Kiran found a withered old cloak to give to his new ward. Upon receiving this offer, Ashk's form seamlessly changed as the ragged cloak turned to opulent black and gold. His wrinkles smoothed and his hair returned to a jet black. A god of trickery indeed. You first saw this new, younger, more energetic form when he interjected in your conversations about the planes of existence and the creation of particular tuning forks. You were discussing how to harness the energies of the ether shards that littered this chamber. But he described the process of using specific metals to conduct the energies of the plane. Or he described that you need specific metals to conduct the energies of the plane. Kiran noticed this more mercurial form that he took on and took note of this. In one light, he seemed to appear young, the other old, and some not even orcish. His tonalities and accents shifted endlessly like the sandstorms above. But nonetheless, he obeyed. In the next room, Seraphil extended his sense of magic to discover the nature of Ashk's necromancy. Vile, cruel, and dominating. The binding of souls to necromantic constructs, and to his horror, the timeless elf felt the very souls of his old companions trapped in the bone golem below the waters. The fury of 1,000-year prison overwhelmed him, and he charged into the chamber to confront the chained god. Due to his subjugation, Ashk released the souls bound to him in this crypt under Kiran's command. After the party acquired some magical relics and a sum of gold, they ascended back to the oasis as night began to fall. Ashk, on the way, released the souls he bound here as well, as you saw their bones crumble into ash and their spirits freed. In his own words, this was a show of good faith. Nonetheless, Kiran found a chain to mend around the god's neck to remind him of his status still as a chained god. The party joined Jo in her hut, where they found 2 cobalt hunters waiting for them. But before they could discuss at length what the cobalt hunters had found, the party gathered outside as Kiran ascended above the oasis to perform the ritual to fuse the shard of Ilyvania with his staff. A blinding light reared up as the moonstone grew more whole, but Kiran was quickly rebounded into the waters of the oasis. He found himself waking in the halls of Theris Moor, the seat of power for Queen Aela the Undying herself, leader of his homeland. The shard seemed to connect Kiran to the very shard held by Aela as well. The Eternal Queen deemed Kiran's arrival to be some sort of final test, and she remained adamant that Kiran worshipped a ghost, a dead god. But she welcomed him to come and prove her wrong. But she would not make it easy for him. At this, he returned to his friends, half drowned, but with his gasping breath, ready for her challenge. Jo was speechless after watching this miracle, as the sentinel stones all lit up with the pure lunar light of Ilyvania. But as such, she asked Kiran, "What shall I do now that my task is done?" And he returned, "What do you want to do?" She smiled, "I don't know. How scary." He advised her to take advantage of this freedom, to spread the good word and to take back her life. Before you all slept, you saw Jo step waist-deep into the oasis waters with the marble-colored skull of her partner, Sarva. As she kissed and lowered her love's remains into the water, they broke apart into scintillating stars across the twilight waters, rippling with Joe's presence. She raised her head with a smile as she breathed in the night air before leaping into the waters to swim free. The next day, our heroes rode out to find the Glass Titan under the guidance of the Cobalt Hunters. With a brilliant plan utilizing each of your companions' skills and new magic, you teleported onto the Glass Titan, hid from the glass mites, and escaped with a scale from the behemoth. All of this is done with no harm to the primordial creature. Teleported back to the oasis with the shard, and moved onward back to the Leviathrok Order. It was here that you said your final goodbyes to Katya, for she could not follow where you were heading. Her place was here amongst her people. Warm words and gratitude were shared all around with promises of reunion. And this is where we left off, as she ran off to find her friends, as you await the arrival of Governor Clay with your horses and carts to make the journey back, or to teleport back, to Veramalcia. So you stand on the precipice of the firmaments of the Leviathrok Order. It is, at this point, early afternoon. The sun is a little low in the sky, but it's still bright, or bright enough for the long dark. The eclipsing planet still shrinking the light to a dim dusk, but still painted with golds. The place is still quiet, like you found it, with very few people walking around. What would you all like to do?
Is the Ardent Eye around?
You don't see him out here, but you could easily go looking for him.
Okay. Yeah. Kieran will go looking for
Okay,
it.
so Kieran is looking for the Ardent Eye, so I'm just grabbing my notebook.
What did he say? Did he say notebook?
He said notebook, yeah.
Notebook.
It's
my notebook.
It might be a
My
notebook.
notebook.
What not to say to Kieran?
Exactly.
As
It's just
the
I
artist
don't
would
write.
say.
I don't actually plan sessions. I just plan what I'm not gonna do in the session.
Yeah.
Smart.
The entire notebook is in caps lock.
Okay. The rest of you, what are you doing?
Timber's going to look over at Serathil and just kind of inspect his body a little bit, because he is like deteriorating a bit, right?
Mike, you can describe it again. I imagine it's like a
It's
like
not
a.
that it's so much deteriorating. It seems like he's been raisined. I guess you could say. It's not like my skin's falling off, but like very. It's
Husked.
not wrinkly. It's not wrinkly in the sense like loose skin, but like it's very taut on him. Like
Got it.
I had mentioned in the first session, like the first White Walker you see in the Game of Thrones series.
Got it.
Mm.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't look like he's decaying in any way. If anything, it looks like he is preserved.
It's more preserved. Yeah, it's like a mummy that you can imagine. That
Okay.
makes sense.
So you're immortal?
I am. You don't need to poke at me.
I
though.
didn't. I just was
Oh,
curious.
I thought you did.
Your little wrinkle.
Yeah, I must be quite the sight. There's been so much action after our first encounter. I'm not quite sure I'm even used to myself, although I'm not the one that's looking at me constantly.
And your
Quickly,
friend-
are you in your wolf form?
hybrid. Yeah.
Sean, do I know what that is at all, or anything of like?
You definitely know what werewolf like lycanthropy is.
Okay.
If you want to give me a quick nature check to see if there's anything else you might be able to discern just from giving a good look at him now, since this is really your first chance to.
Say nature.
Yep.
14.
Excuse me?
14.
Oh, I thought you said 40. 14. Okay, that's pretty good. The one thing you would note is that, like, typical lycanthropy, the victim is not in hybrid form this much, and they don't usually. If he is suffering from traditional lycanthropy, he has extraordinary control over it.
Right.
So it's definitely unusual.
Like I ask, what? I'm sorry, you were going to say something before all that. So why don't you
no.
finish?
So, is there anything wrong with your body other than your skin? Is like your organs okay? And I mean, I guess you don't know since this is
I'm still learning all the things myself. I can tell you that my vigor and my resolve is just as strong as when I fell asleep. But as far as the effects of being down in that crypt for so long and being immortal, I'm not quite sure what that means.
so mentally you have your same attitude, but your physical body, how was that for you?
I still have all my faculties. It's just, I think just my body has grown weary over the time.
Yeah, you definitely would have, like, in the moments of your slumber, like, you would have been a stronger man. Like, you would have had more. Your strength score would have been a little bit higher. Not super high. You were still a wizard, but
Yes, exactly.
And your companions that you traveled with, how many of you were you?
There were 10 when we first ventured out on ambition. And looks like I'm all that remains.
I don't know how it was 1,000 years ago, but I do not recommend that you animate them in public.
I'm quite well familiar that raising the dead gives an eerie sense to those normal folk, those not experienced too much with magic. And we've made precautions. A lot of our traveling equipment that we set out with, because we knew what we might get into, has a lot of facial coverings and covers most of the body. But you're right, if it is too populous, I won't be having them with me all the time.
You know, I would expect after 1,000 years, the dialect for common to be a little bit different, but it's pretty spot on. So,
hey, when
Anyway.
people live for 1,000 years, dialects stay the same. I mean, technically, the Gwyn dialect is different. It's French. So,
It's French.
Oui, oui.
Okay.
yeah, other Gwyn. I mean, my call is that Gwyn talked like you 1,000 years ago, and they talk like this now.
They talk French now.
So yeah, it went from vaguely British to vaguely French.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Wiswick's probably keeping guard with Ash and, just doing his research.
Ash is not here yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then he's just doing his research.
Okay. Yeah. You're really only waiting here, other than other stuff that you want to do, like talk to the Art and I, you're waiting here for Oriel to arrive with Ash, which, given the timeline of this, it will probably be, you'll be here for 3 more days. So if there's any downtime stuff you want to do over 3 days, feel free.
Just enough time.
Huron, you are able to go inside where you would find the Space is much more empty. It seems like now that there's less danger afoot, they've released a lot of the Cobalt Hunters back out into their rotations. You still see the peasant-garbed monks wandering about. You would find the Ardent Eye up at the altar at the front before all the trophies, washing the sacrificial stone.
Kieran approaches. If I remember, there's some kind of greeting that
Yeah.
the monks
Uh,
did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a hand over heart and then sort of just a out to them.
Gotcha.
Oh, well, that's if you're gonna do the like actual one-on-one greeting where you put it onto their heart. Just hand on the heart if you're doing it from afar.
Right. Yeah. So Kieran will rip out his heart and offer it to the Ardent Eye. What? No, sorry. He'll approach, clear his throat like that. And when the Ardent Eye looks, he kind of like hand over heart, bows a little, and goes, Ardent Eye, it's been some time. It's good to see that you are still well.
You see he remains quiet at first, and then stands up and walks kind of. He looks to you and acknowledges you, but doesn't say anything because he's in the midst of chores, and he just goes and like scoops more water into the bucket and brings it back to the stone. Sits himself on the opposite side so he can look up at you. You just sort of
Sits down across from him.
I am still well. Did not see your return.
So your gift of divination then has subsided.
You see, he keeps washing the stone. It's clean. He's just going through the motions. I am not so sure. I am not so sure. My vision certainly dims. But I'm not so sure it is all gone. Not yet.
Well, that may be because we didn't totally destroy what we found in that temple. At least, not yet. We found, as I knew we would, a crystal, a shard of Ilivanya's moon, which empowered my staff here, and Kieran will show him the leveled up magic item artifact. And he'll continue. And we also found the essence of the chained god Ashk hidden within one of the harbingers, the harvesters, of Carcery.
This I did see. Not that you would not destroy the essence, but what contained.
So, did you see that we might, well, enslaved seems like a harsh word for it, but in essence, capture the essence of Ashk and bind
This I
it
did not
to
see.
our will. Ah, well, I believe they say spoiler alert. The essence of Ashk is now
Yes.
friendly to our company.
I would be careful in calling them friendly, even if you have them bound.
Of course, I do not mean to overstate or oversimplify the relationship. We are, of course, wary of every step and every word he says.
This is a curious outcome that I did not foresee even just in my own imagination. What do you plan to do with the Forsaken God?
Do you know the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend?
I've heard it.
I don't know if I believe it myself personally, but we are desperate for information. We are desperate for any advantage against the Pallid King and the Harbinger. We know so very little, and anything this pale comparison of the real chained god can teach us, well, that's more than we had before.
Well, I hope that you know what you are doing.
Kieran scoots a little closer and kind of leans forward in a very almost like a adolescent kind of way, and looking both ways, he kind of whispers across the sacrifice stone, "If I'm being honest, I have no clue. But it seemed the best with what we had. As I said, every advantage will help us in the end, I hope."
Well, as my vision dims, but not. It does not vanish yet. I am learning to. Despite my decades living in a monastery, it is only recently that I have had to learn faith.
Oh.
When you can see so much with such clarity, you forget that sometimes you just have to have faith.
And do you mind if I ask, oh I, ardent I, what it is you have faith in?
People of these places the Cobalt Hunters go to, and the joy they bring and gather to sow hope. I must have faith in that as my vision dims.
Standing up, Kieran, as he's turning to leave a little, looks back and goes, "People is a good thing to have faith in. The longer I walk these lands, the more I realize the gods will give only so much. The rest we get from each other. We will be here a few more days before the rest of our party arrives, and then we will head out back to the capital. If there's anything we can help you with or anything you'd like to discuss, well, I assume you'll know where to find me."
I will find you.
Very good. And with a curt nod, Kieran leaves to join his companions or chill out somewhere.
Excellent. Is there anything in particular you would all like to do here before Oriel gets here?
I would like to send a quick note to Veramelcia, the Maximilian apothecary. I don't remember the guy who was
Raphael.
there. Raphael, yes, the Ninja Turtle. And I would like to just send him a message. We have been in contact a few times. I think I've been purchasing things from him, casually, papers and...
Yeah, anytime you've needed paper, because you gave him your sock, he's been providing you with that so that you can spend that money on the road.
Right, so I'm just going to shoot him a quick note and say, we have successfully found... we have successfully recovered a scale of the Glass Titan. Please have the agreed upon... we'll discuss the details when we get there, but be prepared to receive it because it's big and he's probably gonna have to put it in a warehouse somewhere or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy enough to do. You can pass that on through.
And one more thing, probably late one night before Oriel arrives, Wiswick's going to attempt to scry on Scarlet again.
Okay.
I should still have a lock of her hair or something like
You
that.
you do have a lock of her hair that you pulled out before she vanished at one time. Okay. And that is what kind of saving throw is that?
I believe it's a wisdom saving throw, but I'm gonna double check for you.
Yeah, and then there's like what is it, a -10? Because
So I know the target well, so it would be -5, or I can do a body part lock of hair is -10. So I guess
Yeah.
that's what we want.
okay.
I don't know. I don't think you get both. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I think it's one or the other.
All right, yeah. So it's a -10 to your roll, and you have to beat a
Okay.
wisdom 18,
So
19 saving throw.
she got a -2. I mean, it's not just Scarlet's wisdom; it's other things, but still, the -10 does it for you. Okay. So you cast Scry. You're not in the flesh chamber anymore when you see her. You see a bare room. There's just a little bit of sunlight coming through in this mid-afternoon day in thin pillars through curtains. Dust wafting through them in this wooden room. You see a cot, which is basically a frame with leather stretched across it, and one pillow at the head. No blankets. The room is probably 10 by 10. And you just see a very small table, large enough for basically someone to put a plate down and be able to rest their arms enough to eat off of it. A stool, and you would just see Scarlet sitting on that stool. There's a bowl of muck in front of her, that porridge maybe, that she's just, it's probably mostly barley. It's mostly oats, of course. And she's just slowly eating it with complete lack of affect on her face. And she's just staring at the wall that's about 1.5 feet from her face. You can see her red hair is held up in a very tight bun. The sides of the head are still shaved like you saw last time. You can see those same tentacled scars going across her face that link up to the back of her head. And you can also see that same bite marks on her face from the feeding tube creature that was on her face last time you saw her. It's left significant scars. All across her arms that are bare here, you would see scars that look like little teeth marks. Like there were maybe dozens and dozens of leeches all across her arms and all across her neck and all across her clavicle, where you could still see though those three scars on one side that look like strike marks. There is a dagger on the table that is, it looks like a corrupted version of her dagger, one might say, or sorry, there's the dagger and her hammer. The dagger is warped, though. It doesn't look like the one you saw her use before. This one looks more like a fang, and you can see the hilt is made up of that flesh-like substance she was trapped in last time. The hammer has the Fear Soul runes carved out of it. And in place is a spiral.
So we've definitely seen the spiral as a corrupting factor with other gods before.
You would also recall it as the symbol of the Pallid King.
Does she have taking a closer look at her face, can I see that it's the same type of brainwashing, manipulation that we've seen from the the assassins, the court of whatever's before?
Crimson Court.
Crimson Court, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I was close.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. I guess I'm concentrating, so I can't use skill empowerment. I got a 14 anyway. That's not bad.
No, that's not that bad. There is some similarities to it. You recall when you were breaking Caleb free of the Sirius's hold on him. He was normal, but then once she took control back, he did kind of have this dull affect upon losing control. The one thing that's different, though, is Caleb never had this many scars across his body, nor tentacle marks, nor bite marks. His weapons were standard court weapons. This is a bit... You could surmise this might be a bit further along in the indoctrination process.
Okay.
Or is using more methods than just what they did to Caleb.
Can I take a closer look at that dagger that you were describing? I mean, I know I can't cast spells through this, but is there any evidence of a specific... I mean, I guess I could assume that it has some sort of carcery theme, considering where she was last time and what I know she's been through.
Give me an Arcana check.
Okay. I just want to know if it's like magical or if it gives off some sort of vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I rolled pretty bad, but I still got a 19.
The most notable thing about it, so Scarlet's left-handed, so she's eating with her left hand. The right hand is just sitting there, motionless. The hammer is to her left, the hammer down and the handle up. The dagger is on her right, near her right hand. It's probably about 7 inches away. The flesh part, which is this kind of like dark, more on the reddish side, purple, a magenta, one might say. You can see little philia, little tentacles kind of ichor coming off of it and just reaching towards her hand, like it's magnetized to her hand. It wants to be in her hand. It's definitely magical. It is more so Shadowfell magic than anything carcery related. Carcery is a lot of construct and fusion of flesh. This is just flesh.
Okay, I think the last thing I want to do, I don't know how... Well, obviously I'm going to cast the spell for the full duration to see if anything happens.
Yeah.
But if it continues the same, my next plan is to try and see if I can get any evidence about where her whereabouts is from looking outside of the window.
Yeah, that's a good call. Give me a perception check.
I love these. They're so good. I got a 7. I think I'm probably gonna use a luck point there
All right.
because I probably have another day of rest anyway. Wow, I turned a 7 into an 8. Do I dare use another luck point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is downtime.
13. You know, I'll stick
Yep.
with the 13.
Okay.
I think that's pretty okay. I'll save
Okay.
one just in case something happens.
Okay. So the main source of any sound that you would hear is you do hear kind of the only thing you hear outside is footsteps in the snow. Consistent footsteps though of a single person. One might infer a patrol. And it does, you can hear it kind of coming back and forth, back and forth. You hear commotion outside of this room that just sounds like day-to-day movement. Almost like if you didn't suspect this was some Crimson Court hideout, you would think there was like an active bar on the other side with no music and just people moving around a lot.
Okay, so if it's snowing, it's not, well, I mean, I guess we're kind of in the desert or something like that, but because of the time of year, would it only be snowing like really far north, or?
No, at this time of year, it's snowing as far south as around Vermelsia. It's only not snowing where you are right now because you're in a desert and there's no moisture.
Yeah.
There's snow in the mountains you're in right now. Like if you look further up these mountains, you would see there is snow caps and whatnot.
Okay, I think probably before I go to, after like I finish that, I'm gonna try sending ascending, not expecting to get a response back to her,
Mm-hmm.
but just to say, "Hey Scarlet, it's me. Just wanted to remind you that we're coming for you."
You do. There's not a strong reaction in her, but you see her face, which is just sort of staring directly at the wall right now. Just goes like this for a second, just sort of cocks and squints a little, twist of the head like a confused animal, back to position. And she reaches her hand out, and the dagger comes to her hand, and you watch as this flesh-like armor goes over her body. That sort of then solidifies into leather, with just sort of these gnarled spikes across it, and occasional parts that seem to wriggle as if alive. Teeth across it. Just got real jazzy. Teeth across it. And it goes up, and then you can see kind of like a leather cloak comes off of it that covers her shoulders. A short cloak, doesn't really go all the way down, and then a hood comes over the head, and the armor goes up across the face to the exact points of the scars. And you can see it writhes and wriggles all across as if biting down on her. She stands up and just walks through the scrying orb and out to the door.
Okay. That was that. I mean, Wiswick says to himself, I should be scared, but that was pretty badass."
Oh, she grabs the hammer too, and you see the hammer ignites. The fire of it, though, is not like a warm orange; it's deep crimson red, like the Scathefulum magic. But yeah, that's all you see.
Right. Wiswick, that's all he does. He says nothing.
Okay. All right. Anything else you'd all like to do on these 3 days?
At the end of the first day, Timber might go up to Kieran in the evening. Kieran. Hey, I've been thinking. I might want to talk to Lou.
Ah, yes.
Where do you
Oh.
think would be a good place to do this? Should we do it here or back at Vermalcia?
Well, we'll of course need some safeguards in place.
Right. I imagine if I speak to Wiswick, he can provide some sort of wall of protection.
Ah, yes, of course, the famous spell, Wall of Protection.
Yes.
I might have a few divine tricks up my sleeve as well to help maintain or hold Lou. If I understand correctly, you would allow him to take over. Is that it?
Yeah. I might try something else, but
Okay.
he might take over. It's a risk.
Understand. Well, then I think it would probably be safer to do it here at the monastery, a little more, not civilized, urbane, as it were, in Vermalcia. Though it may behoove us to wait until Ashk and the governor are here, simply because we can ask Ashk a little more about Lou. He seemed to have some understanding of the Fey spirit within you. And any more information we can gain going into this conversation, the better.
It's true. Yes, let's do that. I'll talk to Vizik about preparing a spell. I don't know how his thing works. And Serathil, what do you make of him? Do you think we should include him in our endeavors? Or is he going to want to? I don't know how much you spoke with him, but...
If I'm being honest, and I do that a lot,
That you do.
I don't know. Part of me is elated that there's another who's heard the divine voice of Ilivania, though I'm a little upset I haven't heard it more often as of late, but that's beside the point. How dare she speak to him, but not me? I get it, it's been 1,000 years, I shouldn't be too jealous, but I'm just saying.
She's moved on to you.
Yes, of course. That's what Ayla seemed to say as well. She seemed a little jealous, actually. I wonder if that's an effect Ilivania has on people.
Do you have a thing for Ayla?
What? No, of course not. She's a corrupt megalomaniac, basically. I mean, she's doing what she thinks is right for our people, and I can understand that, but she's so set on her old ways, ways that are aeons old. And, well, you know what they say, the old barriers break before the new waves of change or something.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that one, Kieran.
Right. Well, you know, someone's got to make up these sayings once in a while.
They do, yeah. Well, I'll catch that on. Music will spread the rumor.
There you go. But Seraphil, he seems genuine in his want to help us. And the magics he uses are in the same vein of my own goddess, so I see no harm in allowing him to join us. And his knowledge, well, whereas Wiswick is encyclopedic in his knowledge, Serathil actually lived through these events 1,000 years ago, and that might have its own edge, as it were.
Okay. I shall, I guess I'll invite him.
Of course. He should be around to see what crazy hijinks we get into anyways, right? Let him know what he's getting into.
Yes, he's got to know what baggage we carry.
Yeah, I imagine while this is going on, Wiswick would probably be talking to Saratho, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say,
yeah.
would actually seek out Wiswick and would like to just speak with him for a little bit. You seem like a quite knowledgeable fellow. Mind if I chat with you for a little bit to kind of catch up on some lost history that I may have?
Sure. I'm fine with that. As long as you don't mind my golem overhearing, I try to teach him a lot of things, and better to kill two birds with one stone,
Your construct here can learn on its own. It's self-learning, and it functions on its own volition.
Yeah, actually, it's not as powerful as my ancient texts have said, but I'm feeling like I'm getting somewhere. I'm recently feeling a lot stronger, and I think that we might be on the brink of a breakthrough with him. I've been teaching him for a few months now. He's got basic commands down, and he knows a little bit about the party. I mean, he's still working on social cues, but we're getting somewhere.
That's all fascinating stuff. I'd love to talk to you more about that in a little bit, but as I said, I've kind of a man lost at a time. I would like to ask if you know anything of the history of where the Gwyn Empire has changed over the past 1,000 years, and what you know of the Lay Sanctum explosion that I had mentioned earlier.
If you didn't know, I'm Snurf Neblin. We're kind of raised underground, so political understandings isn't really my strong suit.
Oh, of course, but a man of learning, I assume that there must be books or tomes that you have read.
I'm like
Yeah,
throwing
but-
books all over the place right now. Like, there's one on the Godrakes, there's one on the Feywild, there's one on what's called the Beastlands. I'm just like, well, I think the closest thing. So Oxlin is Caerdolin, right? So I want to just tell him what I know about Caerdolin because I spent some time there, and I'll just go through the general idea of like what the city's like, how the infrastructure works. I also tell you, well, you know what? I'll just say it in character. There was this so there's this boy king, right? But I haven't heard his name in like months. It's really just like a big hoax for this guy named General Kingsley, who we used to he used to pay us to do stuff, but then we found out that he was doing some mean things and starting some fights down south. So we decided to just like bail on his butt, and he didn't take it very well, so we haven't been back there in a while, but there's still some really cool people there. I always wanted to go back when things died down.
He's talking about Gwyn, or what?
No, he's talking about a human kingdom that did not exist in your time. So like Caerdolin might ring a bell because there was a city that existed in your time called Caerwent, which was the or you would know that as the original like sort of kingdom of the northern humans. That is the second most powerful kingdom. You would know the first most powerful kingdom to be Ambience.
I think I would also pitch those. I would be like, have you ever heard of Drift March or Ambience?
Ambience. Yes, that is the place that did exist in my time. But this northern kingdom of humans is something that is quite new to me.
Yeah, they've got a great magic library there. I was actually professor there for a while. I was able to get recruited by a good friend of mine, Kalra. and I got all these cool suits, and I show him my wardrobe.
Those are. Yeah, quite nice. Very, very spiffy.
Yeah. They also are not very religious. I think that they've only got one god now, and they kind of let all those other churches go to waste. I saw some wreckage while I was there of some old of the nine gods that were kind of decrepit, and people weren't worshiping it there anymore. But it was a nice town. Set is a nightmare. We kind of
real quick, just interesting, Mike. I didn't write this in the primer I gave you. I just wrote the name of the mage that ruled Set.
Yeah.
But
So that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna reiterate some of the things that happened in Set. Like I tell them about the druids that we found there that were corrupt, and that's where we first learned about the Pallid King, and the fact that we fought them in a destroyed spire, and then later on that was like under some rocks, or what was it, like a hovel, or like was like hills or something that we found that.
The barrows.
Barrows. I knew there was a word. So yeah, I described the barrow battle to him, and I mentioned that we saw these spires coming around. Yeah, so there were these weird black spires, and there was some old ancient relics of a powerful wizard. I never really figured out his name, but I saw him, and I also went through a portal and ended up in this crazy place where he had teleportation. Well, I guess it wasn't really teleportation. Maybe it was. I was too scared to try him out, but there were all these different places that he was keeping tabs on from like another dimension, which was pretty wild. I kind of told General Kinsley about that place accidentally when I didn't think he was such a bad guy, so I don't know if it's still there, but I guess we can take a look if you want to learn more about the past, or if it's something important.
It sounds like it may, but do you have any books, or perhaps like a map of you're saying a lot of places that I'm trying to put in my head of what it could be or mean.
The spire that he referenced would
Yeah.
click in your head immediately.
Okay, that
that would click in your head, because that was
Godswin's
Godswin's spire.
That was his spire. Okay, that was
his spire. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was a bit of an aspiring cartographer at the time, so I do have
It's trure.
maps
That's true.
that I've made myself.
From that spire, how far was the Megustrea Alp Lay Sanctum?
It would have been
Like it wouldn't be near there.
no, it would have been pretty far south. So like that would have been pretty far south from that. I'd say probably.
But I would know roughly like if
You
I
would
like,
know.
see,
Yeah, if you saw the map that Wiswick drew,
Okay. So
you would
that's what I was saying.
recognize the river lines. I mean, they might be a little bit different from but you would recognize the rough shape.
Right, because I know when I mentioned that before, the Alps or whatever the name of it, they were uncertain. But let's say after he says the spire, click, I know what that is. I'll kind of press and say, please, a map. Do you have of something of relevance I can look at? I know what you're speaking of. That those existed in my time.
Yeah, Wiswick shows him all of his maps and like kind of just puts them together because I mean they're like kind of spread out throughout all of his notes. So perhaps he actually just like takes them out of his book like very carefully and just like puts them on the floor in like relative distance from one another, and like kind of just tries to make his best bet of a world map.
Yeah, you would see a familiar. Broadly familiar, it might be thicker or shorter or smaller in certain areas. The general map of the rivers that run through the northern human kingdoms.
Right.
And you would see them run through. You would recognize Wiswick. Did you map out any of Honduras during your travel?
Yes, I believe that I only stopped mapping when I hit Caerdolan. I think
You
that
mean Veramalcia?
You know what? I probably did do some maps.
Because I think you did some mapping when you were on the boat heading from the northern Honduras down. Because you guys had a lot of downtime there.
I've been mapping this whole time.
I mean, I think it's pretty safe to assume when you had downtime, you might do some mapping. You've said it a few times. We just didn't specify what you were mapping.
I probably didn't
There's-
get the desert very well.
No, I imagine that you had a lot of spells to write. You would recognize something labeled the Chromatis Hinterlands as the location of the Magistera Alps.
Okay. So I'll kind of say, yes, okay, so here's where you're saying the spire is. This is all looking familiar with this mountain range should be. This is what you're calling. I'll point to that area there. Here. What could you tell me of this area?
You know, it's really pretty. There's some cool dragons that I'm just gonna shoot straight. Some bad things happened over there. I think it's probably better, you know, I don't know how close you are with Timber and all, but someone he really cared about like kind of died when we were there.
No. You're thinking of Taram Run. This is the place where you kept trying to pick up sticks and rocks, but you kept getting sick when you would do it because it's filled with magic radiation, and where all those.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're confusing the two kind of wildernesses that are prevalent.
Got it. Sorry, folks at home.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I got these pine cones from there that I've been holding on to for like 8 months because I have no idea what I'm gonna do with them. They're not really the dangerous kind. They're more like the normal kind. But they basically, when I tried to receive anything from that area, it was like there was some sort of disease across the land, and it was like painful. And I wouldn't recommend going over there without, you know, some extensive research and, you know, precautionary measures, because there were some spooky things that we saw in the mountain ranges, like some eyes that were looking at us. I have no idea what those could have been, but everybody from that area was saying that it was a no-go zone.
They are right to tell you that it is the fault of my people that the land is so tainted with the magic of sorcery. The Gwyn Empire at its height built a lake sanctum in these very mountains and tried exploiting the power there to win the war against the mage, the human mage Godswin, who you mentioned these spires belong to.
I didn't know his name. Godswin?
Yes. Godswin Darrenmorph. Very powerful. Very dangerous.
Yeah, Wiswick, interestingly enough, you never learned the name because you got a literal translation of the name once. When you guys restored that fountain with the water elemental.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I talked to him once and I didn't even ask him his name.
But you got, yeah. So this was the Mage of the Spire.
But I digress. My mission, what I have told you, setting out with my fellow companions, was to try to remedy the terror and devastation that we brought upon this land, to help those that were sickened and killed or would eventually die at the hands of it. It made me hopeful coming out of the crypt to see that the sky was still not blackened in its smog, but to hear again that after all this time, there's still lingering death and illness. Well, my work is not done.
Yeah, I'd say your your friends and you are doing kind of what we're doing too. I mean, we started off screwing up and kind of ruining a town, and ever since then we've been going, from place to place, solving issues with Carcery and other bad dimensions that have been ilking in, and most of the time it has something to do with the Lay Sanctum or two.
Please, anything additional you may have on anything in this region or anything more that could help me while we spend our 3 days here would be appreciated.
I met a satyr in a swamp once.
I met as far as reading material.
I imagine Wiswick just keeps telling you things that you absolutely are not what you asked for.
At some point, Timber would walk over between the two, and gentlemen, I was talking to Kieran a little earlier.
That's me. I want to be here too.
Kieran, oh, good, you followed me.
Guys,
Make things easier.
Please, thank you. I was talking to Kieran before. I think to fill you in, Serafil, you could probably assume that this is not normal lycanthropy. What I have. Instead, I have the Fey Guardian Lou inside of me, who's been corrupted by the Harbinger. He is dangerous after having been corrupted, and if he's let out without preparation, bad things can happen to everyone in the
Might lose
vicinity.
a limb.
Yes, Kieran's had his arm ripped off, which we regenerated. But anyway, to get to the point, we need more answers, and we thought it might be best to speak with him tomorrow, or when our group comes back.
Speak with
this, or for me to try to speak to Lou.
How would you go? Well, have you not been able to commune with the beast before? How would you go about that?
I can commune with him. The problem is, it is dangerous when I do, because I might lose control of
He
my
might take.
own vessel.
I see.
Yes. In which case, I know that Vizek has means of containing my body, to not let him harm anybody, but any sort of magics to help me talk to him, or give me the edge would be appreciated.
I do believe I may have something, but I must remember through my book here.
No
But I
worries.
can let you know.
We have a couple of days before I might try, but help would be appreciated. Also, do you know anything about Lou? Fey Guardian.
Do I? John?
Give me.
Is there a way I could just pause this and you guys have a separate conversation for 2 seconds? I really gotta use
Go
that.
fucking.
Oh, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead. Go
so
ahead.
sorry, guys.
Yeah,
It's all
go
good.
for it. Go for it.
Here's a subject,
This guy.
Sean. So Wall of Force says that nothing can physically pass through the wall, and it also extends into the ethereal plane, blocking ethereal travel through the wall. Would that also consider, and it can't be dispelled by dispel magic, but would that also consider blink? Because I don't know if blink is
He can't use
ethereal in
blink.
nature.
He can't use blink A, and also if it's during the daytime, he can't use blink.
Okay, but if he could use blink, would it be able to blink through it?
That's a good question. He can't use blink, but and if you do it in a well-lit area, you don't even have to worry about it at all. Just even if you're concerned about it at all, just make sure you have torches all around it. It's a little uncertain, though, because you know that Timber's manipulation of blinking is similar to Curon's manipulation of darkness as well. in that it's not exactly going ethereal. It's manipulating shadow and dimness. So if you can use blink, it would be a risk.
Hmm.
But as long as it's well lit, he can't even use it if he could.
And it is an invisible wall, so you
Mhm.
could definitely see the target.
Yes. So
If
I'd yeah, you'd want to have it well lit.
In that case, I'm going to, looking at Kieran, I'm going to talk to Ankala about preparation for an area to make this happen.
I think
We're
that's a
in
good
the-
idea.
We're in the desert, though, buddy. Like, we could just walk a couple feet out.
We could.
It might be best to at least let the
Leviathrok.
Order know.
Like
What-
lycanthrope order? Is that what
Yes.
they're trying to say?
Yes,
Yep.
that's where
that's
my
it.
mouth was going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
because I mean, you guys are technically up in the mountains when you're
Right.
in the monastery, so it would be more than just a couple feet walking back into the desert. But you can very easily talk to Ankala about finding a spot. There are several meditation houses that are away, higher in the mountains, isolated, which are these kind of stone hovels that are meant for more ascetic meditation. You could definitely use one of those as a space. You can light it up so that it's all lit up inside. You have enough space to just put you in the middle, throw some wall force up, throw whatever you want up. There's plenty of space in there. They're pretty much a 20-foot diameter circles of stone. That then there's kind of like a small fire pit in the middle, and it kind of comes up rounded ceiling to a chimney at the top. You could definitely use one of those to isolate yourselves, and it's about a mile away from the order itself.
Okay, perfect.
Can Kieran also procure 100 gold pieces worth of either holy water or powdered silver or iron?
Yeah, absolutely. They have those.
Dope.
Yeah, they're well stocked with those types of reagents.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll just wait until General Kinsley. Oh my God, Governor Clay.
You'll always make that mistake.
Knock,
I
knock,
will.
knock. Kinsley's at the door.
Yeah, right. Kinsley just
arrives.
shows up and he's just like, "Oh, new digs."
Can I just say that I appreciate that every time something very detailed about the things that we've done in the past needs to explaining, Wiswick always seems to be the person to do it.
People tend to ask Wiswick about these things.
Well, he.
I mean, I
is
love
the
talking
most
about it.
intelligent.
Yeah, you could definitely wait on that. What I think we're gonna actually do
Take a break.
is take a quick break.
Okay.
Yes.
Good idea.
We'll wait for Mike to come back. We'll all take our break. We'll come back and we'll jump into this.
Perfect.
Stick around, folks. See you soon.
Stick around.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. We took a quick break so we could all get more comfortable, use the restroom, and we are jumping back in as our heroes are planning to find a way to release, well, not release, release, but constrain the corrupted Fey Keeper god, Lu, the wolf god that has been corrupting Timber for a very long time now. So you all were talking about where to do this. Ankala can provide you with a space that's isolated, but also that you can safely contain if necessary. And unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about, you're just waiting on Ashk and Oriel to come back to ask some questions of Ashk before jumping into this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So it's on that third day, late in the evening, around dinner time, that you would hear the lifts starting to rise and bring up your carts with Oriel, Ashk, and them. As they come up and come to meet you, you would see Governor Clay kind of very quickly getting off of the wagon and just sort of looking frustrated as all hell, as he's just sort of walking towards you all wherever you are or coming to find you. He would just go up to Kieran and just be like, by the Everflame, several days travel with that vile creature has been unpleasant at best.
What did he do? Did he not behave himself?
Well, he didn't harm anyone. He was just so annoying the entire trip. He's complaining about everything and kept trying to manipulate Rosen into cooking strange foods, and he tried to turn her into a snake at one point. Do not leave me alone with him ever again.
I apologize for the necessary time spent with the essence of a chained god, but I mean, think about it. If you had been an all-powerful divine entity, and then you were rendered to, and if you see the half-orc coming out of the thing, he kind of gestures to it, then I'm sure you would be a little frustrated as well.
I suppose. I need a drink.
Of course.
Excuse me.
Oh, Oreo. Here.
Excellent.
Wait, what about your container of wine?
It is not hard enough.
Here you go then.
Why is it you all always resort to alcohol to deal
Because
with
it solves our problems immediately.
I don't know about that. It seems to suppress them.
Yes, and that's why we're dealing with them now.
Well,
He's
that's
getting
nice.
this taste of the good stuff.
You see Oriel does kind of wander towards the feasting hall as Rosen and Gil are getting the carts ready. You would see Ashk is kind of the back doors open up, and he kind of just steps out and takes a deep breath. As he steps out and walks towards you. I suppose you were all very successful in your endeavors since you're here now.
Yes, we
Truly.
need to get what we needed done, and it's done. And now, I think is the time for some questions.
Well, I'll answer whatever you want me to answer. But never leave me alone with that man again. He's an insufferable liar.
Oh. How so? You mean Governor Oriel Clay?
Oh, yes. It's of no matter.
No, I'm curious. Please, how was he alive?
And you see the chain marks burn on his neck, and he's like, let's just say I have the ability to see whether it is my choice or not. I will see memories, nightmares, bad dreams of those in close proximity to me. You know, and I'll point to Timber.
I kind of do. You didn't tell me any specifics, though. You just said
Well, I know that you've got a little visitor in your house.
that's true. He does know that.
And, you know, your abandoned children and your dead wife. And
Can you?
your... sorry, the force of habit to dwell on the nightmares of others.
Wiswick goes pale in his face. And it's just like, looks a lot less cheerful and way more nervous now.
Ashk, we have some questions for you. We're going to attempt to talk to Lou.
Oh, well. That should go well.
What makes you say that so sarcastically?
Well, as I said last I spoke to you, he's not particularly well. And his faculties are not all there, I suppose.
So, where are
You-
his faculties?
They're back thousands of years ago, before he was tortured, forced to kill everything he loved in this world, murder his spiritual siblings, see his home turned into a festering pit of fungus and ash.
But
And sorry.
do you think there's still something of Lou within that corrupted form? Something that we might be able to communicate with?
Well, he is a god. So there is some power in that manifestation. Perhaps there is something there. All gods are bound to their nature.
And were you familiar with Lou during your time as gods? I don't know how gods really, was there like a high school reunion you all attended together?
High school.
Was there a god school reunion you all attended together?
No, typically you're born of some void where everything is confusing and terrifying until you're able to comprehend it. And you're forced into some role, and whenever you try to break free of it, everyone else is like upset with you and thinks you're evil. So no, I didn't interact much with Lou. I stayed away from the Feywilds. I preferred other places to trespass. I know of the Fey Keepers, particularly when I assigned my lot with Hadric. He was once a Fey himself. All of them were. The Anshi. Till they buggered off and made their own tree.
Interesting.
Right.
But the stories I heard of Lou, the wolf god, he took on a few different forms. Favored the elves, of course, as the Fey Keepers do. But he also had some familiarity with the drow. Do not recall exactly what they called him. Drow. It was a Rokna. Much more violent with them.
And have you ever been to the Feywild? Even though you're not very familiar with it. Could you describe it for me?
Yes, I have seen the Feywild.
Not corrupted, though.
I would say mid-corrupted. Adric had a cruel sense of justice and conviction. We all had to watch to know what we were doing. It looked beautiful, what was still remaining when I saw it.
I need to know that beauty.
You're going to try to remind him of home.
I know, how adorable of me, right?
It's very cute. Very cute.
Huron slams his staff down on the toe of Ashk, and under his breath, kind of growls like, "That's enough with the goading."
Pains of a mortal coil. The Feywild, before its graying, was a place of dreams, a place of wild beauty, where things were meant to grow, and not in the way you mortals groom what grows. No, it was meant to be as it was supposed to. Forever. It's a place of souls. I believe that's why Hadric targeted it with such ferocity. Great, beautiful tree. I'm sure you know of the Ash Keeper. The waterfall flowing all through its brambles and bark and twisting roots. A winding river descending from the boughs. His beloved Danya. They were one until they couldn't be anymore. There are dark places in the Feywilds, even before Adric's conquest. It is not all dreams and beauty and art and music and love. It is also a place of treachery, trickery, manipulation.
So you might actually like it there.
Yeah, well, I suppose in certain neighborhoods. No, it's... The Fae are whimsy. Even the darkness there has a sense of humor. And I suppose they just intended to go on forever in their little paradise. Till, well, you know.
Yes. Alright, Ashk. I believe that is enough for now. Go get yourself a drink.
Wait, I still got a bunch of questions.
Okay, sorry.
Hi, Ashk, I guess the first thing I want to know is, why'd you side with the Wayward One? I mean, was it like a matter of survivability? You thought he was your best chance of getting through an upcoming war, or did you? What do you think about him?
Adric. Well, he had a stories always told us about the sweet boy who hid behind his sister until their own war came, and he bore himself into the books to find a way to defeat the darkness. But he read too much, kind of like you. And he kind of side eyes to Kieran, kind of winces a little as he's like, "Don't go to them." No, I sided with the Wayward One because it was the only place that seemed I could slip around and blow through the cracks. And the other gods were being slaughtered. I didn't see much hope in it. Until the conservators joined up with his sister and turned the tide. It was then that he's like, you can see the chains burning on his neck as he's like trying to not to mislead. And he's it was then that I just ripped down whatever walls I could. And I had a glimmer of what I wanted destroyed in front of me. Your goddess was slain by that brutish dragon with her barbaric understanding of necromancy.
I'm sorry, did you say barbaric?
Did you say your goddess? You mean his
Yes.
goddess?
I was looking at him, sorry. It's hard to project that over digital communication.
Got it.
Your tethering of souls, not allowing them to pass along, seems far more barbaric. I feel like our friend here, Serathir, would agree, being a master of necrotic arts himself. Right? What's more barbaric there, undead elf boy? Tethering the souls or manifesting constructs as you do, right? That's what you do. I guess we never really talked.
No, yeah. The torturing and bounding of one's soul back to the previous body is indeed barbaric. You mistake yourself.
Oh, well, I suppose in comparison to your toys, it is. But at least I don't devour. No, that dragon, she... Perhaps on the surface, she is like me. But no, her purpose, her desires is oblivion. What's
Well-
worse? Perhaps you're bound for a time. Some heroes come and force your binder to release you. Or nothingness.
Well, I mean, that brings up the whole conversation of what's worse, torture or just instant death. So, I don't
Yes.
know.
What are these questions leading to?
Yeah, I don't know either. We suddenly fell into ethics for some reason. I kind of just
Well,
wanted to
you
know
asked
where
me about why I joined Hatred. Yeah,
And
it's a
as you
simple.
have want to do, he rambled on and on, trying to twist words and misguide.
It is I who is bound, not just to you, but by nature.
There are some that say that I got nothing. Kieran sheepishly steps back and goes, "Oh, boy."
And you know, like, there's a small victory there for Ash. He's very smug looking right now.
Because he was gonna say that we aren't bound by nature, but then he's definitely said in the past that nature binds us. So he's like, what do I even say anymore? What do I believe? Anything to sound wise at this point.
Look, Ash, I mean, you've got a bad rep. Let's just put it at that. The people around here,
Bad rep.
yeah, they don't really like you very much. They call you the Shifting Sands for some
I don't
reason.
like you.
They say you're a big jerk. You sided with the wrong side of the war. A lot of your friends have been causing us a lot of trouble lately. So, I mean, I don't want to, point any fingers, but it seems like we're kind of on opposite sides of this thing. I'm just trying, and Kieran obviously doesn't like you very much. So I'm trying to be a neutral
Well, I
party
don't like
here.
him either.
Okay.
I think
All right.
it's one thing we can agree on.
Okay. Well, I guess that's something. Could I ask you, when you were all chained up in, wherever they were keeping you held, did you see any other gods there, or, have any mention of a diamond in the rough? Does that phrase ring any bells?
You're gnomish, it appears.
Ah, he has eyes.
Nerve Neblin, actually, but yeah, gnomish.
Well, there were not any of your kind in my day, I believe. Or there were gnomes. You have a different adaptability, it looks. Seems.
Wiswick shows him his arm, and you just flares his non-detection, so you kind of see like his skin glows with a certain power.
So, non-detection, illusions, hiding, slipping away into the shadows, much like myself. Oh, this sounds familiar. This sounds like one I heard the voice of at times. You see, it is darkness in the chains, but sometimes we could all talk to each other.
Oh, I wonder how that goes.
Shut up, this is my time. I don't interrupt you when you talk to gods.
Oh, you must be referring to that diamond in the rough. I don't remember that name, but
Wiswick's ready with pen ready, like in his book.
yes, I believe he was bound for cowardice. Noldegra. Yes, Noldegra with his little tinkers and his little toys.
Cowardice? Well, that must be a mistake. I mean, what did he do? Like, what's the story? Did you said you spoke to him? What did you talk about?
Oh, he didn't speak much. You see, he was a bit in pieces, one might say. He was quiet.
Like,
I said before, the gods are harsh in their punishments. Believe all day how much I deserved my chains, and I could see the logic of it, of course. But I don't think all that were bound deserved it necessarily. Some of them just didn't take a side.
when you say he was in pieces, are you saying mentally, or? Like, did he go mad in there, or do you think he was crazy before that?
Oh, I wouldn't call him. I wouldn't call him mad or wild. No, he was just, I suppose you could say, it is not a simple task to be bound for what is supposed to be an eternity. I think he resigned himself to his fate. But he seemed untethered, much like myself, in the way that I was able to manifest this form.
My people don't worship him anymore, but from what I could discover, he was the one who gave my people a chance when the old stories mention that he was a savior and he brought us to the Underdark to save us from impending doom. However, the Underdark has been nothing but nightmares and stress for my people. We have adapted pretty well, but it's still a very dangerous place. I want to know more about why or how he did such a thing, and is there any way to get him back? If you say he's untethered like you, maybe we could find a way to get a physical manifestation of him like you have?
Well, perhaps it's always possible. All of the chained ones are vying for their own freedom now that there are no jailers really around.
Yeah, but you also said he was resigned to his fate. Do you think that might be hard to convince him to try and escape?
Well, he's also when I say he is in bits, in pieces, it is part of his resignation, but it is also when we spoke with one another, or when we all spoke. Like I said, I have a propensity for the mind, and nightmares and memories. It was beyond overwhelming to reach into his mind. Like thousands of minds in one. I don't know all the answers for you. I know much, friend, but evidence points to some of your theories to be correct. He did seem to gift you with power before his departure, imprisonment. Led your pilgrimage into the dark to create what you are today.
I mean, this is a lot to take in. I've been searching for this entity all my life. Just to find that it's broken and in shambles, I mean, and chained up somewhere in some planet or, dimension that's I'll never be able to find. It's kind of it's actually a little enlightening. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere with this, if you know what I mean. It's gonna be rough, but thanks, Ask. I mean, you're maybe you're not so bad.
No, he's bad. It's in his nature.
But you hear that? He told me the name of the god that I've been searching for forever.
Yeah.
No
Don't forget
Dara.
yourself. He's forced to.
Right.
And you definitely see just his neck is all burnt up with him having to resist lying at every single one of these questions, essentially.
And your god is chained. For one reason or another, the conservators saw fit to lay him low.
I don't
Don't you
believe
trust the words of these good servitors?
that. I sure don't. Cowardice? No way.
Kiran looks to Kaze and just kind of cocks an eyebrow, like, like cowardness from, those that hide in the dark. And he shakes his head and goes, well, the gods always have a reason for the things they do.
That is true. Certainly.
Oh, thank you for reinforcing that. Ash, yes, very good.
Hey, Kiran, can you do one of those legend lore thingies now that we've got something to work with?
I can. Once we return to Vermelcia and I can restock an incense, because I'm all out. Unless
I pull
can...
out my sock and I'm immediately writing a note.
First, let's deal with this Lou situation, and then I can legend lore you all you'd like to know about. What was his name?
Noldugra. Nodugra?
Noldugra.
Noldugra.
No.
I think I added a U somewhere in there.
I will find out all I can about Noldugra. If it will sate your curiosity, friend. Until then, let's go talk to a corrupted face spirit. Hey, let's go. Unless, sorry, I don't want to rush things. Anyone have more questions for this lying sack of chains?
Go get a drink with your best friend over there, so you can intolerate each other.
And Lou just sort of sigh. Not Lou. Sorry. Lou suddenly sighs.
Kaze feels it inside him like, oh.
Indigestion. No, Ash sighs, and then you see him kind of jaunt over to Rosen and Gil. Just like, will you two be joining me for dinner and drinks? I have plenty more stories to tell you two. And you see Rosen is just sort of like, but they do settle the horses, and Ash does go inside to sit awkwardly amongst people who worship the opposite god of him in the pantheon of the orcs.
Huzzah.
Maybe I should send my golem over there just in case they don't cause any trouble, He might actually learn something from those stories.
Maybe
I feel like many of the tales.
It's like
Exactly.
It's like AI trained on faulty information.
Yeah. It's that Microsoft AI that got onto Twitter for a day and then became a neo-Nazi.
Yeah. Or the way if you search a word too many times, if too many people search a word with the wrong spelling, Google will start recommending that as the correct spelling. Okay,
so maybe not the best idea. I'm taking the golem with us.
So you're heading over to the meditation huts to perform this attempt. All right. You wander up. You were, and Kali gave you kind of a map of how to get there. It is getting very dark at this point, so you will want to light the area up, even though Lou has not shown any signs of being able to use Timber's abilities, monk abilities. You might just want to do the precaution. You do find this little village. It is kind of like a very, very gentle snow up here. It's so dry, and most of the snow is just frozen here, that you just see occasional little stray snowflakes in the dark. As you approach these, they just kind of look like mounds from a distance. There's several of them, in kind of their own little pseudo village. But you're able to find the meditation huts with no problem. What would you like to do? How would you like to begin this process?
Okay, Kiran. Do you have anything to help soothe me for this? I know that the blessings of Leviathrok can be... They're vast.
Well, I'll give you a little guidance right before we start.
Okay.
However, would you rather have the splendor of an eagle or the wisdom of an owl?
The splendor of an eagle would be great.
Ah, perfect. I have this eagle's feather for my material components.
Ah.
Oh, real quick, Kieran, did you want to? Oh, you already identified the Iron Stone, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wiswick was owed a whatever vision. Not necessarily owed, I
yeah.
shouldn't say, but you had
Yeah, we
said
can.
that you-
That's right. All right, we'll do that later. But just checking. It doesn't affect this. I guess if you had to do a concentration roll, but just checking if you wanted to attune to that during these 3 days.
Oh, sorry. I already tuned to it.
All good. Just wasn't sure if you wanted to have the conversation about who gets it.
There was no conversation.
I know.
Or
Exactly.
Eladra, excuse me.
Thank you. All right, cool. Okay, carry on with your
Seraphil.
preparations.
Seraphil, do you like dogs or owls more?
Wait, what? Kieran
Yeah.
casts his enhance ability
Dog
for
or
Eagle
owl?
Splendor.
You've got 10
on
seconds, otherwise you don't get anything.
Kaze.
I
Thank
preferred, I guess, the canine as being my elf's best friend.
I toss you the figurine of wondrous power, Onyx Dog. It's in D&D Beyond, and I explain it to you exactly.
It's a magic
as
item.
written.
Oh God! What a wondrous dog?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And then Kieran's going to spend a minute to cast Magic Circle around Kaze, using that 100 gold of whatever they gave him, holy water, powdered silver, etc., to make a nice little magical circle around Kaze that traps fey creatures within it,
Nice. Very
giving
nice.
them disadvantage on attack rolls against targets outside the cylinder, and targets outside can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by the creature. So, and this was a question
Interesting.
I meant to ask, which is this a possession, or is Lou just like straight up like part of Timber?
I would say that it's more of a part of Timber than a possession.
Okay, that's fine. 'Cause, like
It has
lycanthropy is okay.
notes of possession in the sense of how it manifests, but it's a lot more like twin souls in one body.
Right.
Okay, so we have Magic Circle, Guidance. What was the enhance ability you gave to Timber?
Eagle Splendor. He has advantage on Charisma
checks.
Okay.
I also talk to him and tell him I can only hold up Wall of Force using all of my spell slots and maintaining concentration. I can hold it up to 40 minutes. That's 4 castings of the same spell.
Look, I think you'll know when to use it, and it shouldn't be that long.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I just wanted to make sure that you knew the limitation.
Understood. Thank you, Physic. Yeah, so when I bring him... I shouldn't say I'm bringing him out, I'm just talking to him. It's just a risk of whether or not he takes control of this vessel. So, just be wary. That's it. Kieran's
We always are.
aura circle should prevent him from leaving.
Would it be
Seraphil?
better if I polymorphed you into like a gerbil
Nope.
or something?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Might be
Seraphil,
fun.
You can,
Keep looking pretty, buddy.
just make sure everybody's all right, and make sure this little one doesn't do anything too chaotic. That's really it.
Have those counter
Just
spells
like
ready
you-
for when he tries to fireball.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just give you a head nod.
So I'm going to go in the center of the magic circle, clear out a little area, go into a meditative sitting
We light
position.
the torches just in case.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Definitely light the torches.
Yep. Space is fully lit with torches.
Right outside the circles too. Right outside
Yes. Yep. Close the door. Seal up the. It's gonna get a little smoky in here, but you guys will be done by the time you start suffering from smoke inhalation.
Yeah, and I'm going to sit down, begin to meditate, and cast Dream on myself.
Okay. So, and this is an attempt for it to affect Lou so that you can speak with him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. He is not proficient in wisdom saving throws. What's the DC?
17, I believe. Let me check again. Yeah, 17.
Oh, it's actually hard to see these dice. Lou got a 6.
Oh boy. Okay.
So, what is the dream that you are bestowing upon Lou?
So, the dream is, I'm trying to replicate as much as the Feywild as I can in its most pure form, as chaotic as it is. And I guess if there are like trees in the Feywild, and it's along a river of water that's flowing down from like the giant tree of the Ashkeeper, and like that's in the distance, but there's the river flowing down it, and it's really just on the shore between all these trees behind us, and he's just sitting on the shore right now. He doesn't know how he got there or whatever, and Timber's not going to show himself yet, but Timber's going to just see how he reacts to this this purified.
With a combination of Ash's description, your experience back at the Wayward Home for the Fae, and the fact that you've seen visions of the corrupted Fae that you can kind of like interpose the color and beauty onto, give me a charisma roll of your choice. Deception, performance, with advantage. The DC is lower because of all of those things you have.
Okay.
And a quick guidance on top. D4.
Yes, so go ahead and throw that D4 on there too.
I will throw the D4 on top. Actually, can I hold on to that D4?
Yeah.
Well, it only lasts a minute, so.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, I can't. I need concentration on.
Oh yeah.
Magic circle.
Enhance.
So yeah.
No, enhance ability.
Enhance ability. I got a 23. Anyway, I got 23. So.
Oh yeah, you see, yeah, this is a gorgeous scene that you paint. It might not be, you don't know if it's exactly what it looks like, but it is certainly the spirit of what it likely was like, especially considering the light in the river, much like the pools in the Home for the Wayward Fae, the way the creatures sort of just exist in a natural state. What once in your mind was this barren, cracked, bristling ash tree in the distance is lively, full of leaves, with the waters of Danyu pouring down its bough. And Lou is a wolf. He's not the avatar of Lou. He is just a wolf sitting there on the shore, staring at his reflection in the waters.
I'm just gonna like leave him there for like, I'll be, I guess, like just like a fly on the wall, and just kind of watching him for a good like 3 minutes.
Okay. What was your roll again?
It was a 23.
23. Okay. He seems, based on this roll, to be acting natural, as if the way you don't know you're in a dream, and you just behaved at the behest of the rules of the dream, as opposed to your actual intellectual knowledge of reality. And what you see, it's a happy pup. He he's like rolling around in the vibrant grasses and meadows in the same way a dog just sort of like runs themselves through like freshly mowed lawns. There's points when he just swims in the water. He looks like a happy giant wolf. His fur right now, under this illusion, is this golden color with streaks of silver through it. His eyes glow a bright fey blue and have kind of streaks coming off of them like gas almost. He has these markings across his maw that look like druidic tattoos almost, except they're just sort of like shaved into the fur and then ignited with magic. This is likely what Lou felt like and looked like before his fall.
A little taken back by Timber at first. Kind of almost like happy to see that. He's going to finally, like almost like doesn't really want to interrupt, but like is like, all right, I got it. Just kind of appear next to him on the shore. Do you remember this place? Lou.
It is familiar. It is familiar.
You can't tell me. Do you not remember? Take a second. Think about it.
It feels familiar. Like you feel familiar. But in a very different way.
Correct. This place used to be your home. I am the vessel in which you now call home. But they're not the same.
What happened to this place?
Well, a long time ago, there was a conflict, and well, Lou, you got corrupted by this Harbinger. Does that name ring a bell to you, adult?
Me? Corrupted? No. Not possible. I couldn't have.
So you do remember, at least you do have some pride or an ego.
I
Do you
feel
remember what's
anger. Did.
here, in the Fae?
You see he stares into the waters and downstream. Can't see beyond the dream, but you can tell he's remembering a place beyond at least a river like this. Up the mountains, I found them. Lost souls, and brought them to the Raven to rest.
The Raven. Duvani?
Yes. the raven, the black eagle, many names. But she judged souls. In soul to their peace or their rebirth. I was a guide.
Now you remember. Let's take a walk to the mountain. And Timber's gonna like make a scene as like they're like walking down the stream towards like, and they're just like
any time he looks at something funny, you like change it.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll follow you because he's confused and half remembering things at the suggestion.
This is quite a beautiful place, Lou. Now, can you remember any specific events that took place here? You remember Duani? Do you remember the two bears as well? The other fake keepers. You were one of them.
They keep twins. Were they bears?
Yes, they were.
Honey, wine, fish, bread. At the pools. Yes. Joyous brothers. They met the dead as they rose from the lake.
Good.
Who are you?
Well, right now, you are living inside my body in the primal plane. My name is Kaze. The body in which we are both sharing, I refer to as Timber.
No. No. I am my own.
You see, you were.
I am a god.
You were a god.
Outside of Timber's mind, Lou's mind. It's at this point you start to see Timber kind of twitching. It's the first sign of anything happening. You've all.
Or is he just standing there?
He's in a meditative pose. Like he literally went into the pose, sat cross-legged, and closed his eyes and has not moved a muscle since. You would see though, all of you, from his tattoo on his arm that he gets this dream spell from, you would actually see like a magical 3D image of what's happening. And you would see Lou and Timber walking along this river.
This didn't happen last time I watched Timber.
It did.
Oh.
Dang. Way to look like a fool.
Did he freeze right at that point?
No.
Oh no! I saw his eye move.
It was so
I was
man,
just so
frozen
ashamed.
time.
I wonder what
But-
they're talking about.
Probably the Feywild.
You would notice Timber though twitching. The dream spell does not end by any means, but you can see like you would, at least not Serathil, but the rest of you would recognize like slight transformations in Timber that are recognizable as what happened when he turned to Lou. They're not fast moving or anything. You can very clearly see that it looks like a struggle in that moment.
Start the wall of force.
Okay. Timber, back to you. You can see Lou now has got he just like snarled at you as he said, "I am a god."
Lou, you are a god. You don't remember what happened to this place and what happened to you. You can't recall what happened, specific events that happened. You remember very vague events. Now, I ask you again, do you remember the name Harbinger?
No. I remember Kosher,
Oh shit.
the demon.
I wouldn't know that, right, Sean? Alex knows this, but yeah.
You've heard this once before.
Okay.
Alex knows. Yeah, Alex knows who that is. But
And me.
and Mike, all the
I'm
way
part
back.
of this now, Sean.
way back when you guys were in the home for the Wayward Fae, the Fomorian with PTSD that Scarlet got to talked about Koshairn, the demon elf, who led Hadric's armies when they invaded the Fae.
Okay. So you remember Koshairn leading Hadric's army into your home.
You see the snarls grow greater as the mention of the name Hadric seems to trigger a sharper reaction. Demon elf, servant of the betrayer, he turned me into this. As you see the fur starts to turn black in places and red in other places.
So you're starting to remember he didn't turn you into anything. You were turning yourself into something. He made you believe this. Look how you just were moments ago. That's what you believed you were. Your true self. So. But, as I said before, you're starting to remember. What else can you tell me what happened? We're still walking down. And it's still very peaceful. I have not changed.
I imagine it's like intermittent pauses when he starts to have these reactions, and then like
I'll stop and turn and just acknowledge him.
At this point, I will ask for
A wisdom saving throw,
and depending on the result of that, a charisma roll of your choice based on how you feel like Timber is doing with this kind of performance, persuasion, deception.
Wait, Stefan, did you give me motivational speech? I forgot.
No, I forgot to do that one.
All right.
I should have casted something on you, but I guess the shield's good too.
I can't. Oh, no, guidance doesn't count for this. All right, I got a 9.
Guidance? Can guidance not count? Is guidance only skills?
Guidance is skills.
Well,
Yeah, and it's also been over a minute, I feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dream
Also, I
time
can't
is
have two
different.
concentration.
You know.
I'm still giving him advantage on charisma, so
Yeah.
Okay.
he can't get guidance.
Yeah, is this Inception rules? With time in the dream?
I mean, I would say no because you're watching it in real time on his arm.
It's just fast forwarded.
It's just moving really quickly.
Yeah.
Is that a 9?
That is a 9. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Timber, roll me the charisma choice that you chose at disadvantage.
Disadvantage. That would be
Yes.
neutralized because I have advantage.
Neutralized. It would be neutralized. Yeah.
Okay. Dirty 20 actually.
Okay. So, Timber, you feel yourself losing a little bit of control. You feel your eyes shifting to purple. Those of you outside would see a further increase of the transition to Lou. You see Timber's claws growing sharper, his fangs pushing out the oh god, I dropped the dice. His fur getting darker, and those shadowy tendrils kind of peeling off of him. Inside the dream, Timber, what do you say to Lou to try to bring the composure back? You're sort of saying this to yourself too, to keep yourself a little calm. You notice the dream breaks a little bit when you lose control, and you look back and you see the ash tree is dead now.
Timber kind of like he's a little like afraid at this moment because he's losing a little bit of control, but he like raises his voice a bit and Lou, you're safe now. And that's all he says, and like hoping to kind of calm him down, or like just to make him let them internalize that.
You noticed at that same time Lou's blue eyes turned purple also. They stay purple, but his transformation seems to pause a little bit, where the red and black fur is coming in. And you are still struggling. You're holding on to yourself right now. You're not experiencing the effects of losing control into that prelude stage. You're fending it off. That charisma check is what's keeping you from losing any more control. The tree stays dead, though, as the dream breaks a little bit.
Lou, you're not the corrupted being that they made you. I imagine like the sky and everything just starts to go back to like its normal form, maybe. I don't know.
Some storm clouds settle
Yeah.
back to a beautiful sky.
But I'm going to bring this up again because you obviously know that there's an evil side to this, of what I keep referring to. This kosher, and I'm going to say it again, Hadric. But we're on the same side, Lou. We both want to put an end to what they have done, or what they've caused, and the people that keep running their ideals.
The more I remember, the hungrier I get. Voracious hunger. Blood. Flesh. Death. Pestilence.
Okay. Well then, what do you remember before that? What did you remember 5 minutes ago? when you were looking yourself in the pond?
Give me a persuasion roll.
All right. Yes. Sorry, got it. Rolled 18. I was really happy about that. Got a dirty 20.
Okay. You see while he's snarling and pulling his eyes tight closed, he opens them back up and they are blue again. And you feel your own eyes return to blue as you can feel your muscles loosening, the tension receding. The dream stays broken, but Lou is calming down as he's recalling what you already asked him to remember.
Okay.
Earthson, Duvani.
Do you remember what happened to them? I know I'm asking a lot of you, Lou. But this will help both of us.
You see, he does that thing that dogs do when their owner leaves. They start to run around looking for them. He sort of stops and starts to move about the glade that you're in until his eyes peer onto the dead tree. Dead. They're dead. The father is dead. The father is dead too. Am I alone?
Not anymore.
Can't remember what happened to them. How did they die?
A harbinger. Oh. Hadric. Hadric.
He killed them.
I know he did. I'm not trying to say.
I know. Just checking.
Stefan?
It was me. I did it. Oops.
Wait, was
You said Harbinger?
I said harbinger. Right?
Deception check.
Right? Is it?
Hadric. You would say Hadric, actually.
Okay, Hadric. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry. I did it at advantage, but even so, 21.
You see conflict on Lou's face as he is not snarling anymore, but he's just panicked, ears back. He... Hadric. Betrayer. Wrong. No, he couldn't have. He couldn't have. They're too strong. They're too strong.
Fine.
He's weak.
You did. You were made to.
Me. No. I couldn't have.
That reaction you had before to me. That feeling of that you did not suppress before. Or that you did successfully suppress. The feeling of thirst, hunger for blood. Flesh. With blood.
No one could make me do that. They were my family.
I wouldn't have. I am too strong.
Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Sure. I am so lucky. 21.
Okay, you fend off his control. Outside, you would all see actually the blue features starting to recede. I am going to have him redo his wisdom save for your dream at this point.
Okay.
Natural 1.
Okay.
This god is just fucking up his rolls.
Look, Lou. Going to need your help. We're going to have to rebuild the Fae. But first we need to ensure that these gods that ruined the Fae do not completely corrupt the primal plane. You and I are both sharing a vessel in my body, or in a body in the primal plane. I'm going to need your help remembering such. And I'm going to try my best to avoid anything to bring out this corrupted nature of yours. I do have a couple more questions, though, that you're going to try to remember for me. Can you do that?
Yes. I want to remember.
Does the Pallid King ring any bells?
You see, as you ask this, Lou's fur grows darker and with more red lines. You see the eyes, though. They don't turn purple or red. The color leaves them entirely for a moment. And they just look like opaque orbs as the fur darkens around them. You can see those druidic tattoos twist on his face into spirals.
Lou? Sorry, I didn't. No, I wasn't trying to rush.
No. That's a legitimate response. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh boy, I'm running out of luck for that. Okay, yep, there we go. That's an 8.
Okay, Kieran, outside.
Oh, me.
Yeah, the 3D visual is gone. The magical 3D images, they all twist and are now innumerable spirals of the Pallid King. The tattoo on Timber's arm is turning into spirals of the Pallid King.
Well, this doesn't seem right. Do any of you know how to break a dream spell?
Timber, inside, Lou finally responds. It is that same dark voice that has been coming out, but it is not. It is in control.
His roots writhe deep. Yellow one. I feel his touch. I feel his hatred. I feel inner breaks.
Just quickly, when Kieran said, "Does anybody know how to break this, whatever the dream spell is?" I kind of just like looking at the spells and like, why? What's wrong? Is this? What do these mean? I would have no recollection what the Pallet King is, would I?
No.
It's the mark of the Pallet King, the one that corrupted the Feywild.
Is he in danger? Should we wake him up?
I don't know. He might be getting good information.
I don't know if waking him up is even gonna stop whatever's happening to him. We might as well let him have a fighting chance. You know, he still has some semblance of control if the spell hasn't disappeared.
Rest a minute, but just still guarded. And just kind of shake my head.
Timber. Inside, the landscape has shifted entirely. It is dead. It is the Feywild as it is right now. And you see Lou has been shrunken to the size of an actual house dog. And he is frightened like a pup and running to hide. And you can see he barks a few times in a direction and then whimpers and runs away. And as you look in that direction, you can see between the dead trees and the ashen land, the yellow river, a stranger cloaked in yellow.
Timber is going to be running after Lou, the scared Lou. Lou, come back. We could... He's not a threat. We can fight him. We could take him. Get back here.
You should use some treats.
I'll feed you, human. Wiswick is right there.
Would eat all the flesh you want.
So is Kieran. Kieran has a new arm.
It's your favorite.
Your favorite. The new guy, he's undead. I don't know how that's much.
You could definitely chase after Lou. I'm not even going to make you do like a investigation check. He's pretty easy to find as he's whimpering and not in just sort of cowering in the roots of a vast dead tree right now. And he's shrunken more. He's like a pup now.
Timber's going to pick him up and just like cradle him under his arm and just be like, we'll get through this. I'm just going to need some of your help.
Give me a charisma roll of your choice. Really a roll of your choice if there's another roll that you think would fit this. While that's happening outside, I will say things have gotten worse. Timber is quickly turning into the form of Lou. As those spiral marks are filling up the wall of force. Almost like a smoke, but made up of these spirals. This all happens very quickly, almost like a smoke cloud plumes out of the arm of these spirals.
I'm just looking
This is a
for
bad
Takira
idea.
and Wislik for just direction.
This is a bad idea. Do we beat him up? Knock him unconscious?
Well, even if Lu takes over Kaze's body, he'll be trapped within the magic circle. And then from there, hopefully he won't be too far gone that either some kind of calm emotion spell or maybe some magical dispelling magic spell might do something.
I don't know, Kiran. The last time this happened, he was Lou for a pretty long time.
Last time this happened, we weren't prepared.
Also, you both were unconscious. That's true.
I was dead, actually.
Yeah, that's true. You were stone cold dead.
In a bush.
Oh, to be fair, he was tossed into the bush.
He was a bush baby. He was forced. It wasn't by choice.
Yeah.
Bush
Would have
boy.
been nice if I had a chance.
I would say at this point, you would see the smoke is about to completely fill the wall of force. The last thing you would see is the face of Timber. Is the eyes open as the smoke completely overtakes the whole space, and you can see his eyes are opaque white with, instead of irises, spirals. As he's snarling, as his fangs grow greater and are digging into his own jaw and gums. As he disappears into this cloud of spirals. What did you get on your roll?
Oh, I got a 17.
Okay. What are you, as you're cradling and saying this to Lou, is there anything else you want to do? I'd say as you're holding him, the pup is kind of nuzzling against you and whimpering. It does seem like you are calming it down. As you kind of like look about, you can see like bursts of fire in certain areas, almost like bog fires. You hear this big, loud cracking noise. As you can see in the horizon, the ash tree, as a whole section of it just collapses down. You can see it looks like it's falling slow just because of how vast it is. As you hear it, and plumes of ash and dirt go up into the air. As you can see, some of these trees catch fire under the bog fire with how dead and dry they are. And you can see at the edge of that river is that stranger in yellow still staring at you.
Can I cast a quick sending to Kaze?
Absolutely.
Alright, so actually at this point, especially when Wiswick was like, hey, this might not be a good idea, Kieran's going to be like, you know what, let's see what we can do. He's going to cast sending at Kaze. It's going to be a simple, are you okay in there? Should we end this? Do you need a way out?
Do I hear this?
Yes.
Give me one more minute.
He says he needs one more minute and then we'll end this. Kieran just conveys to the other two.
Timber takes the pup of Lou, and he's, instead of like backing up, like, you know, dodging with little fires, he's actually going to, Timber's knowing this is like all not real. Timber is going to, you know, look down at Lou in his arms, walk forward towards the man in yellow, kind of going around broken branches and fires and whatnot, and then kind of just in a low tone say, Lou, like you said to me before, you are stronger than this. Much stronger than this. Much stronger than a yellow fake man in a yellow green jacket. It's... What is he gonna do? I'm here now to help you. there are more than just. It's more than just me. I have a party, a group of people who are helping to revive the Fae. Make it not what this is, what he's showing you right now, but back to what I showed you. This is just an illusion. These roots are not real. And if there's a root, it can be picked, pulled out, and shoved down the throat of the one who planted it in there. Sorry.
All good. As you're giving this speech to Lou, you can feel the clouds darkening in the sky, as you can see yellow smog kind of filling the air as the trees begin to gnarl and their branches seem to move like tentacles. And you can see some of the branches look like skeletal arms and faces and skulls as the fires seem to rage around, kind of coming closer to you, kind of like a wildfire moves, almost like it's a circle enclosing you, as the stranger in yellow steps across the river and up to you. And you can see they almost grow in size as they come up to you, like they tower over you. It must be 10, 12, 14 feet tall. As you can see, just emptiness on the face. It's just a black void. As you can just see these hands come out of the hood, as if there are multiple, like a dozen hands just reaching out like this and kind of coming out as full arms, almost displaying this wild plumage of gray, dried out, dying hands as the skin slews off of them and they turn to skeletal arms. And you can see just igniting as that spiral of yellow flame in the center of it as the creature feels overwhelmingly over you. What do you do?
Standing there with Lou. Timber's going to stand his ground, thinking that this is all an illusion, and just telling himself that he's going to take out his inkswell and literally just throw it through the face of the pallet, or the man in yellow. And when he picks it up, he thinks to himself, Astreus, guide me, and just throws it right through.
Make an attack roll with advantage.
Okie dokie.
Has it been a minute since?
Oh yeah, how long has it been?
Oh, natural 20.
I'll say you won't need the minute
Okay, cool.
with this natural 20.
Good to know.
I'll say it was cutting it very close.
Right.
As there's so many like spirals that it now just looks like blackness. And you can just like hear the snarls inside. What does it look like, Timber, when this dagger strikes through this phantomous man in yellow?
As it pierces, once Timber says that, and he grabs Inkswell, he actually drains the blackness out of it. When he throws it, and it's silver, as it's flying through the Pallid King, it just sucks up all the darkness as it goes right through the back of his hood, as it were. And it just kind of like, it just vacuums, basically just vacuums as it flies in the air. And then it kind of leaves, not that it like flies through the air, but like it kind of just clears up whatever darkness, and almost like as if a tear in reality of like an evil plane versus like a light plane. Like you can see the light plane as it shines through. Right?
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
So as you do this, you see the Inkswell dagger strikes through this pallid the Pallid King's representation here. And as it does, you can see it like the skeletal arms that have now outreached into this massive plumage of just bone all coming out from the center of the mask. It rips through and you can see them all sucked back into the mask, and their flesh almost reforms on their arms before all just sort of in, and then the dagger Inkswell, the kunai, cuts through the cloak, the yellow cloak, and you can see it almost as it tears through the cloak, just as you said, it tears through reality, and you see as it comes out the other end, it bursts into the form of an owl that then flies over everything. And as it does, you can see the fires going out, the trees blooming, the river returning to a scintillating blue as the dream's restored to what it originally was. And in the outside world, you see a golden light amongst the shadowy spirals that radiates out and pushes all of that away. As you can see, for a moment, Timber's gone Super Saiyan.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
As he bears the original golden fur of Lu for a moment before it returns to normal Timber. Is Timber in the dream? You can see the pup of Lu. It hasn't like returned to the form you found you originally had him here, but it is not scared anymore.
He's gonna put him down and, sit down in front of him. I'm going to need your help. Bring it back to this. Faye.
You see the little pup just kind of sits across from you. And you feel an affirmative energy coming off of it. A little bit of fear still there.
I'll let you out. I'll talk to you again, and maybe I can let you out in the primal plane, as long as you don't bite that cleric. His arm off again, or we'll see. But I'll get you your vessel back. Everything will go back to normal. But I need you to be strong for me, alright?
See, pet the pup Lu. Okay. You look around, and while most of this dream has been healed, the dead tree is still in the distance. But you feel like you've done as much as you can, really, with this dream.
Yeah, I shouldn't press him anymore. Talk to you again, Lou. And Timber's going to try to get out of the dream.
Easy enough to do. The dream stalls out as it all vanishes away. And the last thing you see is the pup Lu before it vanishes as well. Do you awaken and open your eyes to your three companions?
See, I told you everything would be fine.
Alright, you can let me out now.
You sure we can't just leave him in there just to be safe for a little bit longer?
Oh, fine. And then, actually, what Timber's gonna do is he's gonna cast darkness around this area.
Yeah, Wiswick basically said that as a joke, but like as soon as he casts this darkness, I dispel my magic.
And then I just immediately stop my. Oh, is that? Oh, thank you, Physic.
Father Crescent Heart, don't play tricks like that. You didn't see what we saw.
Oh,
Your tattoo turned into the mark of the Pallid King, and darkness enshrouded you.
oh,
But then you went Super Saiyan, like the Dragon Balls that we have in this world.
yes, I read the Dragon Balls series.
Uh,
That was a
The
great
Dragon
series.
Ball legend was big in my time as well.
Oh, really?
Wow,
Yeah,
some things just
Shenron?
transcend.
It's a mistake trying to get ahead of that joke.
So, I did actually see Lou has a lot of ties, or a deep root related to the Pallid King.
Oh,
I brought that out, and I guess that's what happened out here. It wasn't
Yes.
pretty in there either, I do have to say. But,
so do you think Lou is affected by the Pallid King, or is it just as Ashk said?
definitely seems to be affected by some entity, and whatever that entity is, it's related to whatever they call themselves, or the Pallid King. That's the man in yellow,
The Geists.
the Geists.
Well, at least we know there's hope. I mean, I'd say today was a pretty overall awesome day. You found out that there might be something to be done about the corruption with Lou, and I've learned a little bit about my god that I haven't heard from, like, that I've been searching for since I came out of the ground. And, Seraphil probably learned something about the world or two from my awesome lessons.
Seraphil, can you either confirm or deny this allegation?
He was helpful. Us can get a little off topic sometimes.
A little.
There'll be a
So that's being nice.
in general in Governor Clay's estate. He does have quite a lot of books, as well as there's a library. You can do a lot of reading and catching up of.
And we're going to his estate now. Is that where you plan to go next?
Is correct.
Yes, I think in the morning.
You say Governor Clay was a Gwyn elf?
No, he's from the Gwyn Empire. He's a human.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless, well, I very much would love to see.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a great apothecary. I still got a lot of spells to teach you, but there's some good stuff in there that I'm really excited to get my hands on. I'm sure you will be too.
Seraphil, in your time, you said that your people populated the hinterlands, correct? Did you populate other parts of the main continent?
I'm starting to fear that the might that the Gwyn Empire held on this region has dwindled, but they did did occupy a substantial chunk of this part of the continent, all from Sean, you want to help me out?
I'm not Sean.
Yes, the empire would have spread all the way from Byzantium, the homeland island, all the way through the Beastlands, all the way through to the other side of the Beastlands, where the Gosu remnant live, and all of Endurus was controlled by all of Endurus and all of what they would know it as Eastern Tresix. The only places that were not ruled by the Gwyn Empire were the deep north, where the Elysians were, where Godswin held his territories, which was all of Eastern Tresix and most of Oxlin, modern Oxlin, and where the Kerwent, the Zverals lived. and of course the Gosu Ruination. So pretty much the entire southern half of the continent was owned by the Gwyn Empire.
When we get to Vermacia, maybe just steel yourself for the changes that have come in the last eon.
Maybe not say too much about being like pro Gwyn Empire while you're there.
What do you mean? The Untadurans and the Gwyn are allies in this fight.
And maybe we get some.
Are you mixing up Cara Dolan and Vermilcia again?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
It's the two big cities you've been to. I get it.
No need to be like rude. My appearance isn't anything special at all. But maybe we go to a makeup place. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we could probably find you some moisturizer.
Okay. I think that's a good spot to end at.
Let's go get you some moisturizer.
What?
Shannon's gonna come back and she's like, "Oh, what happened last time?" It's like Sarathil's getting a makeover.
And that's
We
when
can definitely hide those 1,000-year-old blemishes.
Yeah, Scarlet's gonna strike. Right when
Yeah,
he's
right.
getting- during
Yeah,
the spa-
Scarlet's-
during the spa session.
Super assassin Scarlet's gonna come in and just see like
And she goes,
Sarathil with cucumbers on his eyes,
I'm
and
gonna have the mud and everything.
yeah.
We used all your bath bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. She's gonna come with knife in hand. Where are my bath bubbles?
Okay, folks. So that's where we're going to end tonight. We're going to pick up next week as our heroes go back to Vermilcia and see what happens there. Thank you for joining us. I know the stream is a little stuttery now, but hopefully the audio is coming through clearly, which I believe it is. Sorry about that. Thank you for letting us know, Zeal Zaddy. Just come check out some future programming as well. We'll have Relaxing in Paradise this Thursday, where I will probably play some games, talk a little bit about lore, especially because there's a lot of lore that came out today's episode. Sunday, we're going to do the Sean and Shannon Power Hour return with Shannon's return, and then we'll be back on Monday for the next episode of Advantage in Paradise, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please come back and join us then. We are gonna send a raid over to our friend Joshua Simons and call it a night. Thank you for joining us in Paradise. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.